Good morning, everyone. You have just watched the opening video. The future is right ahead of us. It is often said that you don't know much about the future, so that's why you have to live today to the fullest. Some people say this. Is it really okay to just live today to the fullest? Many business persons in Japan believe in that kind of concept and just be passive and looking at what's taking place, and they're just satisfied that they're just living today to the fullest, and that should be okay. But I feel crisis in that way of doing the businesses. Is it just sufficient looking at what's taking place in front of you and just doing your best today? Then is that really sufficient? Can't you really know what's taking place in the future? Maybe because you are not trying to figure out what's happening in the future, that's why you don't understand what's happening in the future. Because what's happening in the future can show us the harbingers, some of the symptoms that lead to the future trends and the future activities. So you really have to sense what's taking place in front of you and try to understand that lead us to what type of futures, so that you be more insightful to coming up with new ideas and try to cope with the futures. And you just shouldn't be passive. You really have to change the status quo, and people who try very hard to improve the current situation and who are not, there will be a huge discrepancy between the two. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Big Bang and a little bit about the future. And also for the SoftBank Group, how are we trying to cope with the future? Those are the things that I'd like to cover today. So the first slide is this. You probably know that 13.8 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. So it said. I am not the expert of the universe, so I should just say that the scientists believe that there was a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. And that made universe expanded, the planet and also the stars and galaxies were all born out of this Big Bang, and the universe is still expanding. Even at this very moment, the universe is enlarging itself. The Big Bang has not completed itself in just 1 second. And another Big Bang, which is singularity, is there. The singularity means that artificial intelligence will surpass the total of the human knowledge. And when the artificial intelligence surpasses that threshold, then it is going to be the hyper knowledge or hyper-intelligence. And hyper-intelligence will redefine all the industries. If that is the case, then how do we cope with those phenomena? This is going to be the biggest revolution of the human history. With the evolution of AI, the computing power will also increase, And computings will not be conducted not just in the cloud side, but also not just in the edge. In other words, that edge and then clouds working on the computing simultaneously, and you have to have the balance between the two. So between edge and then cloud. It doesn't mean that which one is more important. Both of them are very critical to promote the artificial intelligence. So let's talk about the edge first. I acquired ARM, and many people question that why the smartphone manufacturer acquire ARM, the semiconductor companies. And some media and also some people questioning that. At that time, I didn't go into the detail about why I decided to acquire ARM. But the following story will probably reveal you why we think the ARM is very important for our company. The SoftBank is a communication company, and little over decades, people believe that we had been a telecommunication company, but in the 35 years of history, only little over 10 years has been dedicated to the telecommunication. From the inception of the company, we have been always working on the information and information revolution. One of the core of the information revolution was the telecommunication, and these communications should be connected to the AI. Information revolution is equivalent to artificial intelligence revolution. So the ARM is a chip reside in the edge. It is essential in the edge revolution. The people who are here are probably more advanced and more sophisticated when it comes to telecommunication area. And smartphone, probably there is no one who doesn't have smartphone in your pocket. Just last 1 year, 1.5 billion smartphones were sold on the market. And last 2-3 years, the 3 billion, 4 billion smartphones were sold to 7 billion population on the planet. Among 7 billion people, of course, there are babies and infants and very much of elderly people. So regular teenagers and also adults are really using the smartphone, almost 100%. And smartphone always have certain things, 100% of them, not 99%, 100%. Always they have ARM chips. And the chips are not really peripheral components. It is a central component, almost equivalent of the engines of a car. The people cannot live a day without a smartphone, and the chips is the engine of the smartphones, and that is ARM, which means something to us. In Othello game, it is one of the corners, 4 corners of the board. The ARM chip is not just contained in the smartphone. It is embedded in the components in the automotives, game machines, and also the consumer goods and sensors. Everything has chips. Up to last year, accumulately 100 billion chips were installed. The population on the planet is 7 billion, so that the 100 billion ARM chips has been shipped against the 7 billion people on the market. And 2030, it is going to be 1 trillion units. 1 trillion ARM chips will be distributed all over the world and connected by the network. And at the same time, they serve as devices reside in the edge, contributing for the artificial intelligence. Project Pretium is promoted by ARM, and most of the chips produced by the ARM will have the functionality for AI. And they have already started shipping those AI-enabled chips, so that on the device side, that you can monitor people's movement. You are using smartphone, and when you press home button, then your fingerprint can certify that you are who you are. And without pressing the home button, the machine can also recognize your face and authorize you to use the smartphone. Because smartphone can recognize you are the owner of the smartphone. And again, this is the AI technologies, and all driven by ARM chips. And when you talk to Siri, and Siri recognize your voice and understand what you're saying, all these are driven by ARM chips in the smartphone. And to promote AI functionalities and make the cost of the AI much cheaper, and all these are the targets of the Project Trillium. These AI-enabled functionality starts from the A series, but even for the M series, smaller size chips for IoT will also be enabled for AI. So it's going to be 1 trillion.
In other words, that means there will be more chips in CCD, supervisory cameras on the road, and sensors, flying drones, UAVs. It will be inside of most everything. This will be explained further in the following presentation. We have rideshare session, automotive driving. There will be a lot of chips used on the edge. It's not just about chips, but software platform is also very important. We have TensorFlow and Caffe as examples. Chips will be connected with them through software layer. Software layer can also be developed by ARM. Google, Amazon can be linked together. ARM's chips will be able to cooperate with software platforms. On the device side, almost every chip is going to be an ARM's chip. That will be the common piece. That is going to be very important for us. So on the edge, we'll have AI computing power, or AI chip and computing power on the cloud. We're going to have 1 trillion chips deployed on the edge. Now, if you look at cloud, that is another important side. If you look at GPU performance, up to 2030 from today, the computing power of the chip will be 200 times better than today. And also the number of chips that are deployed on the cloud will increase substantially. AI chips on the cloud and ARM chip on the edge will enable 5G, 6G, and 7G, very fast communication. There will be organic connection between them. If this happens, the evolution of AI will be accelerated. There is no way we can stop this acceleration. As I said at the outset, we often say that we can't tell the future. So don't think of the future. Live today. Be present. That is one way of approaching our life, but I have deep doubts about this way of life. Naturally, there will be an accelerated growth of AI. The chips on the edge will reach 1 trillion chips. And close to that number, we are going to have arms shipped. And with that in mind, the chips will be designed. We write our business plans with that number in mind. So there will be a quadratic curve of growth by AI. Every industry, therefore, will be redefined. Think of what Professor of Oxford University had said. What jobs will be replaced with AI? This is a prediction made by Oxford University. You see those numbers there, 2024, 27, 2031, and so forth. Doesn't matter if the timing is faster or later than these numbers. It's within a range of error. 2 or 3 years difference doesn't matter. Whether AI exceeds human performance, AI exceeds who? It's in the range of expectation. It doesn't matter. This discussion is not important. What is more important is the direction of the change. Once AI exceeds human performance, there is no way to reverse that trend. AI may be 100 times or 1,000 times or 10,000 times better than human ability. This is how fast AI can infer, much faster than humans. Think of face recognition. There will be a lot of noise that needs to be removed. Even for us, if you look at somebody's face, you know this person, but you can't remember the name of that person. You remember the face? I know I have met him or her. So you'd say hello, but you don't know exactly who that person is. That could happen to you, right? That could happen to me as well. I'm pretty sure. But then human ability to recognize faces is not perfect at all. As you saw the video in the beginning, 2 billion people, they were discussing, can we recognize then each one of these 2 billion people? Not humans, but AI will be able to do that. Undecoded ancient documents can be explored by AI in the future. The human fails to understand what is written in the ancient documents. And also translation between, say, Chinese and English can be done much better than humans. That is what AI can realize. When it comes to life or death matter, being able to discover skin cancer or predicting the person may pass away within 24 hours. AI can predict much better than human doctors. Brain tumors, lung cancers, all of these can be diagnosed much better with the help of AI, more accurately and more quickly than human medical doctors. It's not just that. For example, crime prediction is one big area for AI. This is an example of Chicago City Police. They use big data and AI. They actually created heat map based on AI, where and when the weather information, past crime experiences are all used to come up with this heat map to understand and predict a crime may occur on a specific corner of a street. So they would actually deploy a patrol vehicle close to that corner. As a result, they are able to reduce the shooting event by 29% in Chicago. So it's a heat map that is used for prediction. It's not just analyzing the past events, being able to predict so that proactively take countermeasures to prevent crimes. Say baseball and football, the great athletes will be able to predict where a ball may come. Even before a ball starts to move, they will be able to predict where the ball will move to, just by looking at the competing athletes, how the competing player would move. So even before the ball starts to move, the great athletes will be able to take actions. So that's based on prediction. Just like that, AI will be able to come up with a heat map for better prediction. So the heat map is used to predict for fleet management, as DD is doing. The weather forecast, day of the week, different events that occurred in the past, they all go into heat map with the help of AI to analyze big data to predict more precisely and more accurately than competitors. US and China are more advanced than Japan in terms of developing AI. They are the top runners in AI competition. Think about autonomous and automatic driving. The large trucks level 4 tests were completed in US, and also autonomous driven buses are now being commercialized, and there will be unmanned convenience stores are opened one after another. 5,000 of them are planned to be opened within the first year. So these are some of the projects that actually take place in China. As I've explained, the AI evolution involves the edge evolution as well as evolution of cloud ability. Both of them will take place at the same time, thereby redefining every industry. As I said, every industry will be redefined. The services provided there will be changed. The ability to serve will evolve with the help of AI. So if you can take control of AI, you might be able to rule the world. As I said in the beginning, we often say that we can't tell the future, but you can expect exactly what could happen in the future. If you predict what could happen in the future, you can prepare and thereby better respond to that event, which will occur in the future. Many of you who are here today, think of your companies. Your company may be working on AI, and you may be confident that you are pretty much advanced in utilizing AI. You have begun to see the specific and positive impact of using AI. You're working on AI, you're better than other companies. You're doing sufficiently on AI. You have AI scientists. If you agree, please raise your hand. If your companies are doing enough on AI, raise your hand. If you think that you are doing enough